And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics. Let's now turn on to the Android Basics. And today we're talking about Android 15 QPR2 Beta 1 that dropped, I think that was on the 12th, I believe so. John, did you install it on your Pixel 9? Are you enrolled or you didn't enroll your Pixel?
No, I haven't enrolled it. I just have the one Pixel right now, and I'm keeping it stable for the time being.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I didn't bother to install it on any of mine, but last night I just did so just for giggles. And of course, that thing was huge. And I know the reason why, probably like we were saying earlier, but mine came in at almost 2.7 gigs, 2.69 gigs on my Pixel 7. I haven't tried it on any other one, but so there are some few changes, right, John? There's a new kernel now, right? For people who know how to do things in Linux, you can do terminal commands and things like that after you go into the developer mode and enable that thing where you could do some Linuxy kind of things, right?
Yeah, there's it doesn't seem to be working just yet, but it's there. So I'm assuming they're going to plan on adding it in the same way that you can already do this on a Chromebook. Or in Chrome OS, I should say. So yeah, it just gives you the option to turn on a developer setting that will add a Linux command line to your apps list, and then you can go use it. You can, I'm assuming, obviously, like I said, it's not working yet, but I'm assuming you'd be able to install things from the command line and run apps from the command line. I'm assuming you'd have to have a mouse and keyboard connected to get them to work correctly. But yeah, because after all, Android is based on Linux, and like you mentioned earlier about the update size, the reason the updates are going to be larger for the Pixel 6, 7, and 8 series is because they are updating the kernel to a much more recent Linux kernel. So that's why those installs are going to be a lot larger. I'm assuming, like I mentioned earlier, I haven't tried it, but I'm assuming because the Pixel 9 series is so new, they already have a more up-to-date kernel.
Talking about that keyboard, there's something in there that talks about the fact that you can simulate the mouse using your keyboard too. So there's a huge improvement in the keyboard as well. And like you said, some of these things are not currently active, especially that one we just talked about. And we need to keep in mind that this is something that's going to be coming like in March as a feature drop on Pixel devices. And my thinking is that this is something we'll be seeing natively in Android 16. So they're kind of prepping us, giving us a little taste of what's coming up in Android 16. Another thing that I kind of like is the do not disturb. It's kind of been changed. Now we have modes. And as I indicated, if you are not into the beta, though, this is not going to be showing up till like in March of next year. So if you are not part of it, you're not going to see these things till March. Another thing, though, is the notifications where you can have more granular adjustments of notifications. You guys know I don't do notifications, so most of my notifications are out anyway. So I didn't even get to look at how it is and how one goes about customizing that notification. So I can't really speak to that.
I think the customization of notifications is a feature of the modes. So when you create a new mode, you can, so let's say you have a sleeping mode and then you have a working mode, right? So instead of just turning on do not disturb all the time in those situations, you'd have different modes so that when you're in, like if you're in working mode, you can say, I want to allow applications or notifications from specific applications during work mode, even though everything else is blocked. So, if you have certain, email apps for work, and then you can even choose which notification channels you want to allow. So you can even specifically, it's not even just app by app, but specific like notification channels you can allow or not allow during certain modes, which, I'm kind of excited about. I'm hoping there's also different settings you can apply for each mode that you create. Some I saw mentioned where like you could have dark mode in a certain mode, or yeah, and other settings like that. I'm hoping that they also allow you to set your ringer mode, because one of the things that kind of annoys me on Pixel phones is that there's no quick settings toggle for just like sometimes I just want to turn on vibrate and or silent or ring mode without having to like bring up the volume panel and mess with that, because Samsung lets you do it from the quick settings panel. So if it also lets you customize those settings for each mode, then you could technically just create your own mode for vibrate or silent or ring, and then just change to that mode from the quick settings panel, which would be nice.
Another good thing is that also you could do these modes or change these modes right there on the lock screen without needing to go into DND or the former DND and all of that. So I think they're on the right path here, John, and I'm looking forward to it. And it's a good thing to have this type of choices and what Google is doing. I think Android 16 may be some good thing coming down the road.
Yeah, and speaking of Android 16, I'm assuming, obviously they haven't announced anything, but I'm assuming we won't have a QPR3 this year, because there's talk of Android 16 actually being released in like late spring, early summer. So it might be that this time around QPR2 is the last QPR2. Just a guess on my part. Like I said, they haven't officially said anything about it.
Yeah, I think it might be. And like I was guessing, we probably will see the first developer of Android 16 in December. Who knows? Or if they're going to wait till January, whatever. But if it's going to be pushed back to like somewhere in June, like they said, June 3rd or whatever, that was a tentative date that was said, then definitely if they're going to have a few betas, like 4 betas, then you have to start that developer preview like in December or something. We'll see what happens.